How to know if you're in a relationship that God approves of?
It's not a commitment to me, it's a commitment to God.
Yeah.
And so if it gets to a point where you feel like you're wavering or I feel like I'm wavering, what's ultimately going to keep us in that covenant is our relationship with God.
What do you think about Christian dating apps?
So the next question is how to move on from a breakup and how to deal with family problems. I think they mean that in terms of like problems with your partner's family.
Or their problem. Yeah, your partner's,
or vice versa. So why don't we tackle the first part of that question?
Some of us, we don't know anything about that.
Maybe I should go first.
Yeah.
Because I just come out of a breakup. I think first of all is to let yourself feel the feelings you need to feel. A lot of people will try and rush. I am people, but a lot of people will try and rush their emotions and be like, yeah, I'm ready to be over this. I'm ready to be, It's understandable that you're gonna cry because you had feelings for the person. Well, I did. Don't know about other people's situations, but it's very understandable to just, there are gonna be times where you're gonna feel a type of way, and healing isn't linear. Like I tried to just be like, oh, Leroy, you're fine one day after, and then I was just crying the next day and I was like, what's wrong with you, sis? But it's like you just need to let yourself go through those emotions, and I think to just focus on yourself and know why you're like, what's the next steps in life. Because for me, I left that relationship to get closer to God, so I'm like now, like, are you doing those things?
Right.
Are you reading your Bible? Are you doing fellowship? Are you doing those things to make sure, like, the reason why you came off this relationship, are you putting focus on the right things? So
I love that.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing.
That's
I think I'd also say, like, just remember that everything happens for a reason. Because I think when it happens, like, you just think like, because you think that person's you're gonna be with the person. Obviously, I've never been in a relationship, but I've like had situationship breakups, and it's like you think that you're gonna end up being with that person, and it's like you're now stepping into the unknown where it's like, I used to speak to this person every day, and now I'm not gonna speak to them anymore. So it's like learning that, like, even though that it didn't work out with that person, it just means whoever's for you is even better than what you expected. And it's horrible, like what Simone was saying, like the healing is so like not linear. Like sometimes it'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so great, and then the next day you're looking up past pictures and everything. Honestly. So but you will be okay, and just keep saying to yourself, like, I had to do like positive affirmations, like writing it down, journaling, everything, just to remind myself that, like,
journaling.
Like, it's not your fault, you'll be okay, and you'll move on.
One thing I saw on TikTok, because I have no experience in this, is that we need to remember that we don't always know what's best for the other person as well. So if someone breaks up with you, you're thinking, oh, it's their loss. Maybe the future, depending on that.
That's true. That's true.
And that's okay.
And it can be the same for you as well. You might think, I need this person so much, but they could derail your whole purpose.
Honestly.
Because you know what men can do?
Kill, steal, and destroy.
Honestly,
I didn't say it.
And they said, if a man gets a chance, he will unalive you.
Honestly, and ask why you're dead.
Honestly. They won't even turn up to your funeral.
Honestly,
you say my funeral, now that you've killed you. Oh, coming off that point, there was I don't know if it was the same TikTok that we watched, but it basically said, like, somebody could be the most wonderful person ever. Like, they could be a really good painter, for example. It doesn't mean they're the right artist to paint you. And it's it's like they're good, but it doesn't mean they're the best for you.
Right.
Poetic clicks this to
And I think that's often the hardest situation. Like when, like, I've never had like a boyfriend, but when I've been talking to someone, it's like, on paper this makes sense and they are lovely, but something is just not adding up, and it's kind of like, is it me? Is it me, Jesus?
No, honestly,
But it's okay to be okay with the fact that, that person is great, they're just not your person.
And there's also a temptation sometimes to be like, there was a villain and there was a good person. And like sometimes there was this tweet I saw, and it's like, sometimes just let it be neutral. Like in my own situation, there was not a good person or a bad person. It's just that it wasn't gonna work out, and that's okay. We had to go our separate ways. So like, trying to fight the temptation to be like, oh, they're horrible, because sometimes they were horrible. So
sometimes there are villains.
be telling God about them. I'm going to write their name down. In situations where it isn't, like, it's not by force that there has to be someone that did something wrong.
And I think from the perspective where it is like something had happened, and no, I don't want to say I've been, but yeah, like say if someone did the other person wrong, as the person that has the wrong was done to them, like trying not to blame yourself and knowing that their actions are a reflection of who they are and not who you are. Especially when it's something as like intimate as like relationship, like it's so easy to blame yourself, but it's just like it's what they went through and it's what they tried to deflect on you. Like it's got nothing to do.
Reflection.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
And can I just say, like, I don't know, like y'all can stop me if I'm going too deep, but we were talking about this earlier, and I feel like, as speaking from my experience, but I know that I'm not the only person with this experience, growing up and not feeling particularly desirable, especially if obviously all of us here dark skin babes, like, you know, if you've always struggled mentally to kind of see yourself as beautiful as you are, as who God made you, I think you can enter into a situation and then feel like you should put up with any level of treatment, any level of nonchalance, because in subliminally you think that that's the best that you can get. And I think so when it now comes to the breakup, you're thinking, oh, of course they would leave me because I'm this and this, and you start like that same inner saboteur tries to affirm to you that you know you're the reason for it. But
I've got a question on that. Just to you ladies, this is not on the thing. How do you think we as women, we as like general people, men, like whoever's watching, can like detach how you feel about yourself in a relationship from like your appearance or from like what you bring to the table? Because I feel like along what Wanipa said, those two things can be so aligned. It's just like, oh, if I was insert X, you know, they would like me, especially when it has to do with like a physical appearance. Have you guys found how to do that, or are there ways that you do that, or things that you've heard? I'm just asking for myself, taking notes for myself.
That's really interesting, because that's part of the reason why I left. I was very insecure, and I was like, it's not fair. It doesn't make sense for me to be trying to like, he'd be telling me he loves me, that I'm beautiful and stuff like that, and he wasn't lying. He was really honest. He was lovely, but like
he weren't lying.
No, and that's right. But like, I couldn't take it sometimes. Like he would say you're beautiful, and I'm like, no, it doesn't ring a bell. Because I'd just be like, is it me? Are you sure you're talking to me? I have to remind myself, like, Diora, he loves you. Like, what are you doing? I think when I started noticing that was I'm just trying to think of how to separate those two things.
I feel like also, like, when you have when you know your own identity, it's easy to separate the two. And especially like in a situation where like you're thinking, oh, maybe I could have done this. I feel like as long as you've given like all the love that you could have given, if they decide to not take it, that's on them, and you know it's on them, because you know that I'm a friendly person, I'm a loving person, I'm beautiful. And if they choose to accept it, then you know it's them, because you know what you bring to the table.
What you said about identity, that one, because me, I'm still figuring it out. But rooting it in Christ is like, you know who Christ is, and if you know who Christ is, you know who He's made you to be. So like, even if you're unsure, that's a really good measure of distinguishing, these are the lies of the devil, this is who I am.
But it's a process. I don't think you ever
And I think especially because like so much of our idea of dating, especially as we were growing up, was to do with someone sees you and they like you. Emphasis on the sees you. So then, you know what I mean, and we still have them ideas now. Like obviously physical attraction does come into it, but it's not the entire sum of who you are. And I actually was talking to my therapist about this when I used to go to therapy.
Ooh, love it.
You can no longer afford.
You know,
as in, I'm praying more now. But I was telling her that I was very anxious about a situation because I was gonna meet with someone who I hadn't seen in a long time, and like the situation was potentially gonna be romantic, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, like, has he forgotten that I'm, you know, curvy? Has he forgotten that, you know, that I'm dark? Even that, like, stupid stuff like that, because it's like, I have Instagram. Like, and anyway,
it's a beautiful like, Instagram, my
pretty girl.
Come on. But she said to me, okay, can you tell me all the things that you like about him? And so I started listing that stuff, and then she was grouping it into categories, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna draw a pie chart. how much do you think this matters? Like, how much do you think this matters? And then she showed it to me and she was like, you know, you can apply this to yourself as well. Notice how like appearance is just one part of it and it's not even like the thickest part of the pie. And like, I was like, you're right, Julie.
Big up her.
No, honestly, I was also gonna say, I feel like as women as well, we're always thinking like, oh, like I hope he likes me, but you've got to think like, do you like them? Like, when you're on like a date, like don't be thinking like, oh, I hope like he likes me. It's like I hope he's good enough for me. Not always trying to impress them because they need to impress you.
I think also like examining where your thoughts are coming from. Like for me, it's a lot of self-image needs work. So like I'm thinking, where are these thoughts coming from? I was having intrusive thoughts while I was in this relationship, thinking, oh, I was having intrusive thoughts about like, what if he's talking to this girl? And he was not. It's just my mind that was screaming like, are you sure? Are you really sure? Like, are you sure you're the only one? All this kind of stuff. He never ever gave me a reason to feel any of this way. But there was just things coming in from the left and the right, and I was like, oh God, like learning. Okay, what place was I in? Because my mental health also towards the end of the relationship was hickey. So like I was like, okay, you are not even in the right place to be accepting any of all this. And it's not to say you can't be in a relationship and your mental health can't, you know. But for that beginning, the foundation, it needed to be here, and it was there. So
Thanks for sharing that.
Next question.
We do the second part of the question,
family.
which is like how to deal with family problems.
That one's really so tough.
I think you should advise me. I don't know how to do that.
I honestly I feel like if you're already seeing red flags like that, step away, like genuinely, because it's not good for your mental health to step into that sort of situation where, for example, if it's the mum that is not very like receptive towards you, or the sisters or whatever, I just feel like, especially if you really seriously want to get into marriage or like marry into that family, you really need to think about the long run as well. Like, but then it's difficult because say if you really, really like that person too, I don't know. But personally for me, I can't do it.
I 100% get that, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I'm thinking of this like too narrowly, but I also feel like someone can be so right for you, and what's intrinsic to that relationship is the love that you guys have. And I get that it's hard because when you marry someone, you marry into their family, but I'm just thinking like, I don't have anything necessarily to gauge this against, like I've not been in a relationship myself, but like obviously we turn to the word, and I think there's plenty of examples in the Bible of relationships where maybe there've been family problems and stuff, but God has still blessed that unit. And the one that came to mind was Jacob with Rachel and Laban, and the fact that like Jacob was like in love with Rachel from the moment that he saw her. Laban deceived him, you know, he ended up working for him for 14 years. He tried to, you know, pursue him, accused him of stealing, all this kind of stuff, but it was like, were they not blessed with beautiful children? And even Joseph, who went on to, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a thing where I think you have to, obviously there's only so much you can withstand, and you have to be wary of that. But for me, it wouldn't be an immediate thing where I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to run, especially if that person has shown you that they're like in your corner.
That's what I was gonna say. Is the family's opinion affecting how they treat you? If it's not, then you know, I was gonna say go with God on this one, because I feel like there are so many factors. Like we can sit here and say, oh, do this, do that. But I feel like there's so many intricate details. Like it depends on what the family drama is. Like is it petty?
Yes, exactly.
Is it something that's been going on for years?
Is
like
it spiritual family?
Is it spiritual?
Sammy wants I&D. That was a bit deep.
No, that's very true.
I say go with God.
Don't
read verses about your situation. Consult
people in the church, people who also have a relationship with God, that kind of thing.
But I also want to harken back to the point that Wanipa also makes. Like, I think we can find people that are so right for us, but also I don't believe, as Wanipa has also said several times, that like there's only one person in this entire planet.
Yes, I agree.
100%. So if you're at the point where it's quite early and it's already very intense, as Chantel was saying, that's why I agree on that one. Like, if it's really intense from the jump, I think it's okay to step away, unless as your sermon shed, like, you know that this is God ordained and there are various situations that point to that. I just feel like you should not be in so much tumult, like for no reason.
Yeah, the soft life, man. Soft life only.
Only, bro.
Yeah.
No, that's true. But I also, like, the other thing I wanted to say is, like, think about it practically of the stage of relationship that you're at. Because it's like, maybe right now the family, like, issues and stuff are really intense, but, like, in real life, in actual life, when you marry them, how often are you going to see the family? Yes, when you see them, it might be terrible. I'm not going to lie. But is that something that you feel when weighing up? So I think, yeah, like you said, it's very subjective.
Because the whole point is that you're marrying to go and start your own family. So it's not necessarily that you have to be...
Because circumstances are so different. Like, you might even move country. Like, if I even think how many times I've seen my grandma, like, God rest them. But do you know what I mean, though? It's like, whether or not my dad's mum likes my mum, it was for the birds. Like, it didn't matter. Do you know what I mean? In the end. But I don't know.
So the last question is about how to guard your heart. What do you think?
Mary?
I'll start with this one. I think guarding your heart is like, I think the first part is about identity. My mom always used to tell my sister and I when we were much younger, which in retrospect is kind of crazy because we're only like 21 and 19, but that's besides the point. That you want to be with somebody who was you want to be the sort of person who's so in God and so focused on God that it takes someone else who is searching for God to find you.
Wow.
And so I think
will that one up, please.
As in,
I need to hear that one again.
So you want to be this sort of person that is so hidden in God that it takes somebody who is actively searching for God to find you. And this goes for both sexes, whatever. And so I think guarding your heart comes from that sort of, at least my approach comes from that angle. So like I want to be, or I'm trying to be this sort of like young woman that like prioritizes God in what I do. So whoever I am joined to in the future
will be drawn to that.
Yeah, will be drawn to that.
Yes.
And so when it starts to get like frivolous things, that's why I'm not on socials like that. All the frivolous messages, DM, like that's when I just know, like I know I can be like sort of easily swayed if you speak to me one sweet word like this. And your eyelashes come in some way, and the highest.
The eyebrows are full and
it's making sense. I'll just be closing my eyes small, and then I end up heartbroken. And you see, I didn't guard my heart. Whereas if I have a focus and I allow that,
he's triggering.
No, for real.
He's triggering.
Do you know how many faces and names just jumped in my head?
It's just like if you didn't go there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's what I think about that. But it's definitely hard, and I think, at least for me personally, that a lot of times, like the girls know this, that I feel very like isolated because I'm like not actively dating, not actively on anything, and so it can feel like, X is going on this day, or this just happened with this babe, and so just got this, and I got friends in Atlanta who just got proposed to, so it's just like, wow, this is a lot, and it's just like, me, I'm just here, like I'm gonna be 22, do you know what I mean? So, but I think knowing that, and then also something that God told me is like, he had to remind me like he doesn't disappoint. Like you have to. I look back at my life retrospectively through uni, health, family things, and even in the moment I was like, oh my goodness. But like when I look back on it now, I realize how intentional God has been, and I feel like that was with things that are somewhat. I mean, they're important, but it's like school and the grand scheme of your life and your purpose. Like it's just one season. So how much more will God be intentional with like the love of your life that you're meant to spend?
That's true.
Just wait on the Lord.
And it's much easier said than done because babes know I'll be like, listen.
I need a soldier.
I'm done.
No, but that when you were speaking, that scripture came to mind from Isaiah 40. They that wait on the Lord will renew their strength.
One thing I've learned about guarding your heart is also like knowing for yourself what you want for
very much
season.
that.
So that it's not like you're trying to focus on yourself, but your eyes are open to this uncle, this other one. And it's just like so that you don't put yourself in compromising positions, and then just like open your eyes one day and be like, how did I get here? I don't even want a relationship with you, but we talk every day. And it's that type of where when you don't put yourself in situations that you know it won't work.
I also think boundaries, just to add to that. I'm a boundary, like I really feel like a boundaries queen. Some things like I'm a boundaries queen, I really am. Like I'll be like, I'm not like, don't be trying to talk to me after a certain time because somebody's living like that.
Because no, what you gonna get into?
Wanipa is me and I'm Wanipa.
No, like we are connectors.
So, like, stuff like that. Like I try not to be be too OT about it. But that's just me, because I know if someone just does specific things, my head is it's gonna be head lost, and then it's just gonna be long. So
definitely.
Another thing on having boundaries is like, I think asserting your standards and being firm in them, like being confident in them, because one thing that 2020 Ron really taught me is that like nothing good ever comes from lowering your standards, especially those which you know are grounded in very important things, whether that's like your faith, whether that's like someone's character, like compromising and saying, oh, but I'm sure this, or oh, but da-da-da, or maybe if they don't communicate it's this, or if they don't show enthusiasm it's this. Nothing good comes from that other than disappointment, embarrassment, wasted time,
and shame.
And shame!
My God.
Shame,
which is free.
which is free. You'll be abounding in it.
Honestly.
And like one thing I've really stepped into this year, and obviously like having New Year's resolutions and stuff like that, sometimes to me it does feel a bit artificial, because it's like, I could just change my life tomorrow if I wanted to. But anyways, now stepping into 2022 though, one thing I really have promised myself is to not compromise on my standards, and I would much rather be single and happy and
peace of mind.
have peace, exactly. Than be chasing after people who aren't reciprocating, because like the guys that want to will, the guys that get it. So that's how I
So
feel.
what you said really just my whole situation, my whole 2021-2022 relationship was God teaching me that you cannot compromise on having God in your relationship. Because that was the big thing.
That
was the 100% breaking point for me. And like I went there thinking, oh yeah, I don't care. Like, I love you.
I can change you.
No, I wasn't it, bro. I wasn't even. I can change you.
She wasn't even flirting to compare.
This was my first relationship. I said I'm in love. If I'm in love, then like
it'll work out.
And like it was feelings. Exactly. I was like, well, we can. It doesn't matter to me. I love you, and that's it. And God taught. God said. I'm even trying to like word it, because God was like, you can't compromise. Because it got to the point, and I was like, I want him to encourage me in the word. I want him to do this, and this, and this. But it's like you can't force somebody to.
You're putting standards on them which they don't know about. Because it's like you can't hold people up to godly standards when they don't have God in their lives.
Exactly.
So and that's not even a thing of like
pride or
it's a thing of maybe they're not at that stage yet, and you also can't put them expectations.
Exactly. Which is why I was like, it's not fair. That's how I was. I was like, it's not fair to you to be putting these kind of standards on you, because I'm not expecting you to change who you are for me. So like
you have to change. Like it's only God that can change you, and He has His time for you.
So I was just like, you have to know, because for the my first MCM was Muslim.
You told us the story. This was last year's
I remember you
podcast.
saying, yes, guys, go and listen.
God has been teaching me. It's like, this one that you want to do relationship without me, you can't run. It can't run. Like, stop it.
Like, even if you think logistically things could work without you guys being aligned in that way, it's kind of like, do you feel spiritual security? Like, do you feel peace?
Oh, that's
or
real
do
security.
you have that unrest.
That's the word. I was like, I wanted that, and it's like, you can't be expecting that from somebody who can't give it to you. So don't do that. So the no compromises is serious.
So I just wanted to like, MH to say this point that she one time said in the podcast about like, OMG, it's evading me now.
We said this in a podcast episode from like last year, but I think along the lines of what the girls have already said, like you don't want spiritual doubt to be the reason why your relationship cannot like stand up, doesn't have integrity, because like that's sort of like foundational to the relationship. Things like career or things like you don't see eye to eye on this political thing can work and change as you guys grow as individuals, but something like your faith, if that is fundamental to you, it kind of becomes impossible. And there's this crazy tweet that someone said, I think last year, or I saw on Twitter, and they were like, they never say they're going to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, because who benefits from your doubt? And I just think from you said that.
When I started realizing that, it's like, stop it. Stop.
You can definitely have, you can definitely have grace for people. Like I'm not advocating for that. But if you're squinting and tilting your head to make something and like sort of
honestly
trying to fit a square, like a peg, square peg in a round hole. Stop it.
I think for me, like, thank God, I think I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to really like love myself.
I'd love to hear that, dear. Gorgeous face.
But I would say like, don't accept like struggle love or feel like you need to be with someone just because you want that attention from a guy. Like you can get that from God, you can get that from people that genuinely love you, I would say, or just even from yourself, just practicing self-love. I feel like you should never put yourself in a position like where you're chasing like love, affection, validation from a guy just because you want, like you're craving it.
I think that's out of my head. because God was like, this love that you want so bad here, but let me let y'all, I come back.
And I think that's what causes like people to make excuses for staying in that thing. And I think like sometimes like, you know, when like say you're in something with someone and like they do something and you know when you're even scared to tell your friend because you know they're going to tell you to cut it off. They don't want to tell you. And I think a way of guarding your heart is knowing when to leave. I think like especially me, like I make loads of excuses. I'm like, oh, but maybe it's because of what they're going through, or maybe like if we give it more time, like it will change, or maybe, and it's like just knowing you're just like delaying your future. You're delaying, exactly. You're delaying the inevitable. Exactly. So just knowing when to leave. Definitely.
Before I got into a relationship, oh my god, Chantal and Chizzy will tell you, boy. Ever since I got into uni, when am I gonna get a boyfriend? When am I gonna fall in love? Because I was one of those people that did not have any sort of romantic thing before uni. So as soon as I got into uni, people were interested in me. I was like, okay. He's like, maybe I'm a fine babe. You know what I mean?
I'm the same person.
And it was that thing of like, okay, now men are interested in me. So it was getting to the point where I was like, okay, anything that I was seeing, that
was showing attention.
But even like, I'm so happy where I am right now because like when I came out of this relationship, I was like, this love that you've been chasing, you're not ready for it. You're not even ready. So stop. Like,
and at a certain point, did you like? Sometimes I thought to myself, is it love that I'm chasing, or is it like people's like attraction and their love?
Literally, it's the attention, it's the affection. Because now where I am right now, I'm like, I don't want anybody. If somebody wants to come and give me cuddle, I don't mind. I don't mind affection. But like, it's not relationship I was craving. It was the idea of a relationship. I would be seeing all these people do up bouquet of roses, money roses. You know, Wavy Emma and her man. I don't know if you know.
Someone the black girl
and her white man.
Everyone is saying. If they like it, I love it. But if they need to share what they do as their occupation.
Do you know what?
I want to know what they work
I was like, okay, but can you share where you work?
Crazy.
Valentine's,
because I just need the how. I don't need the who. I just need the fun.
Yeah, for real.
Thanks guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Had a little bit of a kiki. I mean, hope like some of the points that we've talked about really helped you. And thanks for all those people that sent in questions and stuff. Our anonymous Google form is always open for questions. And have a blessed Valentine's season.
And thank you to the girls for coming on again.
Guys, comment below if you want us to do more crossover concepts.
I mean, they're coming anyway, whether they like it or not.
Bye, guys.
We are YouTube babes.